You've packed the truck, driven 3 hours, and spent $100 on gas, only to pull up to the river and find this. It looks like chocolate milk and is running high enough to rip trees off the bank. This frustration usually stems from treating all trout streams as interchangeable, assuming that the tactics that worked on your home water will automatically translate to a completely different hydrological system. To avoid wasting weekends, you have to look at the hydrology. Every trout stream in the country falls into one of two distinct categories, Freestone and Tailwater. If you pick the wrong system for your specific timeline, gear, or casting ability, you are setting yourself up for an expensive, frustrating day. A Freestone river is completely wild. It flows freely, entirely dependent on seasonal snowmelt and natural rainstorms. A tailwater flows directly out from the bottom of a massive dam. That dam acts as a giant thermostat, releasing water that stays a constant, icy cold. While Freestones rise, fall, and muddy up with every passing storm, tailwaters offer incredibly stable, clear water 365 days a year. This hydrological difference dictates exactly where the fish hold, what they eat, and which rod, line, and flies you need to pull out of your pack. This chart measures how predictable a river's conditions are against how technically demanding the fishing will be. Freestone rivers sit down here. They are highly unpredictable because of the weather, but the fish are generally much more forgiving of sloppy casts. Tailwaters sit up here. The environment is perfectly controlled, but the fish are hyper-selective and demand flawless technique. Consistently catching fish comes down to taking an honest look at your current skill level and available time and putting yourself in the right quadrant. On a Freestone river, the environment is constantly shifting. A warm afternoon melts high mountain snow, and the water volume shoots up. Look at this graph comparing water flow, measured in CFS. The flat line is a tailwater. The jagged line is a Freestone. Those peaks represent sudden storms. A thunderstorm can wash mud into the river, dropping visibility to 0 and blowing out your trip overnight. But that chaos creates a major biological advantage. Freestone trout don't have a reliable daily food source, so when the water clears and bugs hit the surface, they feed aggressively. Because they are opportunistic, you can tie on large, highly visible attractor patterns and fish them on thick, heavy tippet. Heavy line and big flies turn over easily in the air. You won't snap your line setting the hook, and if your fly drags a little unnaturally on the surface, a Freestone trout usually won't care. You trade schedule predictability for a wildly forgiving environment. When running clear, it is the most accessible, low-stress trout fishing you can find. Tailwaters function under a different set of physical laws because the dam releases water from the bottom of a reservoir, keeping the riverbed between 38 and 52 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. That stable temperature creates a massive incubator for aquatic insects. Midges and mayflies hatch in dense clouds, giving the fish a constant, reliable food source regardless of the season. The result is staggering biomass. Top-tier tailwaters routinely hold thousands of trout per mile. They stack up in currents, growing fat on endless bugs. You can wade into a tailwater in the dead of January when the air is below freezing, or in August during a severe drought, and find actively feeding trout. But that absolute consistency comes with a major hidden vulnerability: dam generation schedules. If the power grid needs electricity, the dam operators open the gates. The river's flow rate can quintuple in 20 minutes. The water rises, wading becomes dangerous, and the bite shuts down. Accessing those massive fish populations requires paying the tailwater tax. These trout share the river with heavy guide traffic. They see thousands of artificial flies every single season. As a result, they are deeply paranoid. A tailwater trout will drift under your fly, inspecting it for 10 full seconds before turning away because a single detail looked wrong. To trick them, you have to match the natural insects exactly. That means downsizing to microscopic fly patterns, often ranging from size 20 down to a size 26. And you can't tie those tiny hooks to thick line. You have to use 6X or 7X fluorocarbon tippet, a transparent string that is a fraction of a millimeter thick, just to achieve a perfectly natural, drag-free drift. Fishing with a thread that weak is brutal. Set the hook too hard and the line snaps. Muscle a fish from heavy current and it snaps. You have to tie flawless knots and fight the fish perfectly. Your physical approach has to match the gear. You wade painfully slow, keep your profile low, and make long, precise casts to avoid spooking the pods. Tailwaters give you a sure bet for fishable water, but they extract a heavy toll in technical frustration and require highly specialized, delicate gear. There is no single best river type. The right choice depends entirely on your specific constraints. We can map this out using a straightforward decision tree based on your timeline, your skills, and your ultimate goals. If you are a beginner looking to practice basic casting, or a casual angler wanting a relaxed summer afternoon, you belong on a Freestone river. The opportunistic fish in a Freestone will aggressively attack a dry fly. They won't punish a clumsy cast or a thick tippet like a pressured tailwater fish will. If you are booking an expensive trip or hiring a guide months in advance, point your travel toward a tailwater. In this scenario, the dam acts as an insurance policy. A sudden rainstorm might blow out every Freestone in the county, but the tailwater will run clear, guaranteeing you actually get to fish when you arrive. Finally, if you want to push your technical skills to the absolute limit, or if it's the middle of winter, head to the tailwater. Long after the Freestones have frozen solid, the dam keeps the water flowing. It provides a masterclass environment where you can test your presentation skills against highly educated, well-fed trout. Aligning your personal timeline and skill level with the correct river hydrology doesn't remove every variable from fishing, but it significantly tilts the odds of a productive trip in your favor. The water always dictates the rules of engagement. As anglers, we don't get a vote. Stop fighting the hydrology. Figure out what the environment requires and adjust your expectations and your gear to match the source. When you master that environmental calibration, you stop wasting gas money on blown-out water and start maximizing the return on every single hour you spend out there.